Oh, hey, we're having a review. I'm sorry, I'm just, you know, I was thinking of singing with nuns and everything. Welcome, everybody, to another movie review where we talk about the Hitman's Bodyguard. And, you know, this is a team-up movie. You got Ryan Reynolds, you got Samuel Jackson.
Selma Hayek,
but mainly the team-up between those two. And, you know, I do like team-up movies.
Yeah.
You know, you've had Denzel teaming up with people. You've had Ryan Reynolds even teaming up with Denzel in a movie. I like them. Sometimes one actor can overtake the other. Yeah. But it depends on the team up, what kind of genre it's supposed to be. I mean, most of the time it's comedy action, so. Yeah, it's that kind of movie. So, with this movie, where do you want to start with the Hitman's Bodyguard?
Well, should we do spoilers, or should we wait till the end and then do spoilers? I mean, I think we're gonna do minor spoilers at best, but we're not gonna really spoil a lot. So just so you guys know. Let's get the. I mean, like you said, we'll start a little bit with the casting, then we'll get to the story plot. Yeah. All right. Like you said, we have Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah, absolutely.
We have Samuel Jackson.
Yep.
We have Selma Hayek.
Yes, we do.
We have Elodie Young, who you don't know. If you don't know the actress's name, she plays Daredevil's girl, Elektra, in season 2,
and also in The Defenders.
Yes.
Now, yes.
You also have Gary Oldman in this movie,
which completely, to me, unrecognizable.
Yeah, he kind of, at first, you kind of almost don't recognize him until you get like a close-up. Yeah,
and I'm like, because in the trailers,
yeah,
I was always like, oh, they just got this Russian actor or something. I never knew it was actually Gary Oldman until we actually went to the movie, and I'm like...
Actors are chameleons. Certain ones can be unrecognizable. Some of them can be easily recognized in certain movies.
And he was unrecognizable. Yeah, so he was in it as well, yes.
Well, we also got... I forget who the one actor's name was, playing the assistant... Interpol director. I forget the actor's name.
Oh, but I do know him a lot. I think he was also in Fast and the Furious 5, was it? I believe.
He was one of them. He was one of the main bad guys.
Yes. So yeah, we have a whole gaggle of people.
Let's get with the plot. I
mean, but before we get to the plot, though, I am curious, though, how do you think the chemistry between Ryan Reynolds and Samuel Jackson was?
It's hard to say, because you see a lot of these team-up movies, and you're like, oh, some of them have a poorly connection, some have a good connection. This one I felt that was kind of right on the borderline.
Okay.
There were times where it was tipping below where it could have been.
Sure. I thought they had a decent interaction with one another. I thought the chemistry was pretty decently okay. Yeah. I think there were times when, maybe it's the way the characters are, but it felt to me like sometimes Ryan Reynolds was out of his depth.
Yeah, it felt like a lot of the time he just spent more of the time complaining and whining throughout the film.
Maybe that's the character, so I shouldn't really, hate on him too much. But it kind of felt to me like
Samuel was doing more of the work for this film than...
He was definitely doing the heavy lifting. At least that's how I felt about it. He did...
it's not like Ryan Reynolds' character was no slouch in this film. He did a decent amount.
No, he did a good job, I thought. But, I definitely thought he was the better one.
I felt like Samuel was carrying more of the weight of the team up between them.
Absolutely. I did. And, even speaking about someone like Selma Hayek, who did a decent job, but certainly was very small.
She only had a minor role.
Yeah, minor role at best. As far as the plot is concerned, I do think that we have a plot here that is like, okay, this guy, a very bad man, played by Gary Oldman.
Some very bad stuff.
And he's on trial, and the idea of they need a witness who can survive that, you know, they haven't gotten to yet.
And it connects to Samuel Jackson's character from when you see the trailers.
Yes, and the idea that Ryan Reynolds is put in a position where he has to protect him,
yep.
and craziness sort of spins from there.
Yep.
And, I mean, look, we've seen plots like this before. It's nothing new.
It's almost a very common plot nowadays in these types of movies.
Yeah, it's very common. I mean, what do you think? I mean, did you think there was, like, you know, good surprises in the plot, or did you feel like it was just very standard generic? I mean, what did you think?
I felt, I mean, like in the beginning where, you know, they're trying to transport him to the site where he's supposed to go.
Yes, absolutely.
I honestly didn't think they were going to get out of the city, you know, in that first part. I'm like, they weren't even, I wouldn't even say a half an hour away from leaving where they came from, and they get attacked. I mean,
maybe like 15, 20 minutes.
It was pretty common. I mean, even that, and later on in the film, you find, oh, there's a mole within the agency. It's very common, very generic. You knew something like that was going to happen.
And by the way, I knew who the mole was, like,
it is very obvious
within the first minute. It's like it's so. I mean, they do tell you a little bit into the movie, but I'm so used to these type of movies that I knew who it was instantly.
Yeah.
You could pick the person out right out of a crowd.
It didn't even take that long to figure out basically. I mean, the whole plot line in this movie is very basic. I mean, if you get any surprises, they'd be very rare.
It is very rare. This movie is not one of those movies that really... It is predictable, and I think that's one of the problems with it, is you never feel like the movie is a step ahead of you, that you are actually a step ahead of the movie in every way.
Well, that, and you could say even the characters, like, you expect those Samuel characters a contract killer, you know, you figured he's just going to be like pure unadulterated evil or something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, this guy's talking about, you know, a lot of times he's like, oh, without money and all this stuff, traveling, it's like, it's basically almost like a romance film half the time.
Yeah, I would actually agree with you on that. I would agree with you on that. He
spent most of the time when he's not killing people talking about that type of stuff. I'm like, not something you'd expect from a contract killer.
No, but I think that's sort of maybe a tiny bit of the unique part about that character as well.
I mean, you do get one little surprise from his character toward near the end of the film, where he tells a story to...
Yes, where he tells a story, and then you realize that story is actually a little bit different in the idea.
More complicated than you think.
Yes, and I thought that was interesting as well.
Probably the only minor twist that you did not see coming.
No, I do agree with you about that. Also, I mean, what did you think about, I mean, you have the plot, and the plot's standard. What about the action?
Action's decent. I mean,
you know, look,
I've seen worse, I've seen better.
I've seen better, and I will tell you something that really sort of got to me a little bit, is there's a lot of, like, things blowing up and everything. A lot of that blowing up and the fire stuff is CGI. Yeah. And I could tell that was CGI. That was so, like, blatantly CGI that I was like, that just took me right out of the movie of, like, I can't believe, like, this, they couldn't, I don't know, like, just, like, have, like, fire elements or something.
A lot of the stuff they go throughout the film, like, half the stuff that they do, like, from what we've seen, at least from what we saw in the theater. Yeah. These guys should have been severely hurt with half the shit that they did.
Oh my god, whether it's, you know, they go head first through a windshield, or
jumping off a building and hitting a whole bunch of pipes on the way down.
I mean, you name it. There are so many times when basically...
Me and him do that, we'd be dead.
I would have serious, like, brain injury, and you would have to
spine, legs, you name it.
You have to pick me up off the floor and try to, like, drop me off at the ambulance. It was so...
his bones would be basically mush by the time the end of the film.
I mean, it would be bad. It would be really bad.
You'd be the Jello Man from the inside out.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it is really, like, suspension of disbelief here. Like, you really got to have that point of, like, okay, I just got to turn my brain off.
There's one part where a guy gets hit from behind he's on a motorcycle and gets hit from behind with a car, and I'm like, does this guy not have a broken spine or something like that?
Or maybe a broken tailbone or something like that. I mean, what the hell? I mean, that is a lot of those problems as well. I mean, but it's, I mean, like I said, the action to me is just very standard. There's nothing that I was like wowed by, or nothing that I was like, oh my god, like there was nothing impossible.
Like that. You know what this movie reminds me of a little bit? It's like they go through all that damage and go through all this stuff. It reminds me of that last Die Hard film that we saw, where they're just going through a building, falling floor through floor.
Wow.
Oh, I don't have no injuries. Let's go.
Yeah, it is one of those things. And you know what? Look, there's times when I can suspend disbelief. I'm not gonna lie. I can do it. But you know what? I'm not gonna lie. For me, it's the thing of like how much of this can I like suspend disbelief for?
I mean, this is not the Matrix where you hit an agent and he comes flying through a wall.
But, you know, that you can suspend disbelief by, because guess what? It's the Matrix, right?
Yeah.
You can do that. With something like this, it's supposed to be the real world scenario, real life mechanics.
Yeah.
And where bullets actually hurt people.
And there's one part where a guy gets hit in the stomach with an axe, gets shot in the head with one of those
nail gun.
And he just walks away from it like it's barely anything. I'm like, come on, if that happened to me, I would have been dead already.
I know, I would have been sending flowers to your funeral. I mean, it would have been...
You would have been at my funeral, man.
True. It would have been bad. I mean, like I said, it's standard at best. And I do have to say something also. The editing of the movie is not too bad, but what they do is, look, I'm not going to lie, Samuel Jackson is getting up there in age. He can't do half of this stuff. Yeah. So they have to cleverly edit around him so that you believe that this character can do it. And sometimes they pull it off.
Yeah.
Other times, not so much. You're like,
oh,
ooh.
He's got a limp. He can still fight, but he's got a limp now.
I mean, this reminds me almost of like Taken 3, where you're like, we're Taken 3, where you're like, wait a minute, Liam Neeson can't do half of this shit. And they are literally...
a set of skills that are getting older with age.
Yeah, and he literally can't do it, so you have to edit around him. And it's the same thing with Samuel Jackson. I think they do it a little bit better here than what they did it in Taken 3. Yeah. But you still have to really...
Samuel can't do the hand-to-hand stuff like he used to.
No, like there's a whole scene where him and Ryan Reynolds are kind of like battling with the guns. And they have to... So they do this, and then they cut. And then they do this, and then they cut. And then they do this. And so they're literally cutting around the action so that they can make it exciting. But you realize that they have to work with the limitations that basically Samuel Jackson has.
That is true.
They have to do it. So
well, that and another point I'll have to get other than the action, even how you find out how these characters, like the two main characters, hook up with their women in this.
Yeah. Oh man, yeah.
It's not believable.
It's not believable. Maybe the Selma Hayek thing is a little bit more believable, maybe just a tiny bit more than what the Ryan Reynolds and his girlfriend is, because like if
that were true, every guy, it would happen to every guy.
I would be like hanging out at every funeral possible. I'm not gonna lie.
They mess up some kind of operation. She accidentally bumps on top of him,
and next thing they know, they're like
humping each other's brains up.
They're like bumping uglies big time. They're just going at it.
Shit, wedding crashers have been at that funeral.
I mean, damn, Vince Vaughn would have ran that shit. I mean, I'm telling you. But I mean, seriously though. I mean, there is. I think the words of the day with this movie is suspension of disbelief. It really is.
I felt very... what I'm looking for. I would say... Oh, God, how to describe this film in one word?
Well,
I can't find a word right now.
It's tough. But let me ask you this, because there's moments of the movie being serious, and then there's moments of the movie being funny. Do you ever think it really melds together well?
Even when they try to meld it together well, they do it in moments in the movie where it's just like, oh, this is not the best time for this, or...
It kind of... There's moments that work, and then there's moments that fall completely flat.
One example I give you is when they're doing the whole chase scene, like near the end, where they're trying to get to the final place where they're supposed to.
Yeah.
Samuel Jackson's character is talking to Lodi Young's character. Oh, he really loves you, but he's trying to get all his emotional crap straight and all that, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, you're in the middle of a car chase getting shot at. You have a chance of getting killed at any second. You're talking about love right now. This could wait till after the whole trial thing that you're trying to get done.
It's a whole thing. I mean...
I can understand in the beginning, some bits in the middle, but, you're near the end of the movie, which there's another part I gotta talk about after this, which kind of makes it impossible.
Well, is it the time thing?
Yes.
Oh, okay, the time thing. Because
they have like 20 minutes, because they're, like in the movie, they're given a certain deadline for him to come forward to do his testimony.
Yeah.
The whole car chase scene that we were just talking about was more than... They had like 20 minutes to get to the place they had to. This would have been at least a half an hour to 45 minutes.
Yeah, there's no way that they could have gotten to the courtroom on time. And,
unless this is some kind of magical time warp love triangle thing.
I mean, look, I understand the idea that in some ways, maybe some of the stuff we're talking about could be considered in a little ways like nitpicks.
Don't forget, this is a movie where the impossible does happen.
Yeah, I mean, but the thing for me is that, little things add up. And
there's quite a lot of little things in this movie.
And the idea that, I still had enjoyment watching the movie. Mm-hmm. I still had enjoyment watching it, but I left the movie feeling like, boy, this movie could have been so much more.
Yeah.
And it kind of just fell a little bit flat, where I felt like the trailers promised a lot more than what we got.
I thought for a minute they were going to start singing Whitney Houston's Bodyguard song.
I could have sworn something like that was going to happen, but it never did.
Oh my God.
It never did.
This movie, I mean, it had the potential to be much better. I mean, I didn't really have super high hopes for this. I had okay hopes.
Yeah.
But I mean,
nothing...
This movie could have been so much better.
It could have been. The movie could have been better. You are absolutely right. It could have been.
Doing Bodyguard type movie films, they aren't an easy thing to do.
No, they're not.
There've only been a few that have been good. I mean, shit. If John Wick had been the assassin that was... John Wick would have had no problem getting to that courtroom on time and then some.
Absolutely not. He would have been like, damn, I got 20 hours? Shit.
I'm going to kill 19.
Also, I do gotta say that this movie would make a great drinking game. Where, like, anytime you hear the word
shut the fuck up or
motherfucker, just take a drink. And by, like, 10 minutes in, you're gonna be drunk as shit. I'm not gonna lie. You're just gonna be drunk. It's gonna be crazy.
That, and every time you see Samuel do a stern, serious face or something, you would have done a couple shots.
I do that.
Or every time he talks about love or some kind of something unexpected.
I mean, damn, I'm sorry, you won't be drunk by the end of the movie. You'll be dead because you'll be drinking so much.
Poisoning.
It'll be alcohol poisoning. I mean, so I mean, is there any other things you wanted to bring up before we get to the?
Well, I mean, was there any scene in this movie that you felt like was like really just too weird, or something you just like didn't really fit in this entire film?
I mean, to me, it just felt like nothing really ever melded together. You would have like the scenes, like for instance, in the beginning of the movie where Gary Oldman shoots a mother and a kid, okay, and they're dead, and then you go to a scene of being funny, and I'm like, man, these things don't mesh together well. They don't mesh together, and it's just so out of place. And I don't know how they could have ever, like, made it work. But it was just not easy to, like, pull off. And they didn't do a good job at it.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what you thought or what anything.
I thought, like, let's see. What scene could I say didn't really fit well? Well, it's like, like you said, the one introduction to how the characters meet was Ryan Reynolds' character and Lodi Young's character. I'm like, of course, I like how he comments, oh, Interpol fucked up another snatch and grab type case. And I'm like, you're trying to get in good with these guys to get back to your old job? That's not a good idea to mention this type of stuff.
I mean, he's trying to be funny at moments where he's not. Like, the whole idea of, like, when he gets to the like safe house area with his former girlfriend there, and suddenly there's this complete info dump of like, well, yeah, and you did this and you did that and everything, and then they're arguing and everything, and it's trying to be a serious moment but yet a funny moment, and it's just,
you know, that's another thing. I understand the events in the beginning of the film really fucked up his life later on.
Yeah.
But he doesn't need to be mentioning it every 5 minutes, 10 minutes.
Yeah, he mentioned a lot. I mean,
he was whining like even Samuel Jackson's character's like, you're whining like a little bitch.
Yeah, and he did. And I also felt like they were trying to, in this movie, maybe go for a little bit of maybe Deadpool comedy a little bit. No. And it wasn't working in this movie as well as it works in
if I were going to do anything different other than those major changes that we were talking about, I would have fleshed out Lodi Young's character and Selma Hayek's character a little bit more.
Yeah, just
give them more to do.
That's a little bit more, but not too much, but just enough, man.
Just give them a little bit more to do. I mean, it felt like almost they had maybe both together.
No, I do agree.
They only had maybe 20 minutes of screen time between the both of them.
Not much. So what are your final thoughts on The Hitman's Bodyguard and your rating?
Well, action could have been better. I mean, the action was okay. It could have been a lot better.
Yes.
If you're gonna try to make it believable. Not do this half CGI shit. And I understand they got to make it more safe for the actors and stuff, but if you're gonna do stuff like beat up a character or torture them, make it more realistic. I mean, I understand, like you said, Samuel L. Jackson getting up there in age. He's not as young as he used to be.
No, that's true. Yeah.
If he's not gonna be able to do that type of stuff anymore, I wouldn't say not cast him in the role, but make it so he can do some of the minor stuff without, higher expectations.
Well, that's true.
I mean, make him like, oh, he's got a certain skill set. Oh, he's a sharpshooter or something like that.
So what's your grade rating for The Hitman's Bodyguard?
That's tough. To be fair, I mean, I wasn't completely bored from this film, but I could have been a lot more excited to watch this film.
Yeah.
I'd have to say, I'll be fair. I was gonna be cruel, but I'll be fair. I'd have to say probably a C.
A C? A flat C?
Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, my grade rating would be probably a low C minus. Again, I think that it just had a lot of potential, and it just kind of fell flat. It didn't have the kind of promise that I wanted this film to have, and I felt like it could have been better in so many ways. So, yeah, I mean, that's what I think about it. But, other people may enjoy it a lot more than we did, but we still got some enjoyment out of it regardless. So that is our review of The Hitman's Bodyguard. Hope you like it. If you do, definitely give it a thumbs up, and we will be back next time for another movie review. Yep. All right, guys, take care. Bye.